Good morning, everyone. I told you I'd be back on eventually whenever I had something important to say, or interesting to say, or informative to say. So, yeah, I'm back. I hope everyone's doing well. I still can't do live streams. Honestly, I haven't really tried. I just don't even want to go there. So, we'll just stick with the video format. But I've got some things to tell y'all, to talk to y'all about. Uh, be quite long, just to let you know. So you might want to watch it in parts or whatever if you don't have a lot of time whenever it uploads. I just wanted to get this out before, I go out and do what I got to do today. A lot of things have transpired. That's an understatement, right? But a lot of things have transpired. But before I get into the more worldly, secular things, and it's all going to kind of connect in one way or another, which is very interesting to me how this all connects um, on a personal level that I'm going to share with you all. Something happened to me beginning last Friday, so I guess what was like the 22nd or something. I don't know, but whatever last Friday was, and it kind of caught me off guard, but I was somewhat prepared for it too. And because I was somewhat prepared for it, it made me mad. I'm not gonna lie, it irritated me, it annoyed me. But it wasn't devastating because when you prepare for things in advance, you can kind of see the writing on the wall. You make preparations. You have an idea of what might happen, maybe not exactly when, but what might happen. Then it's easier. It's easier when things happen that are unexpected and can hurt you, your family, or whatever else because you kind of saw it coming and you kind of prepared for it. So what happened was this: I I received a payroll check from an employer that bounced, and it was interesting because I didn't expect that, and here's why I didn't expect it. This was not, just some, mom pop shop type deal, some, you know, little known company, small business or anything. This was a third party distributor through FedEx Ground Services to be exact. And it kind of took me aback, but I had a suspicion, and I'm going to tell you why. I don't know how long it's been, but the Father is so gracious, and He's so loving, He's so kind, that He will give us a heads up. And you may not know exactly when or what the circumstances are, but I was given a heads up. He gave me a heads up, and He told me in my spirit, in my heart, not verbally, not I didn't hear voices or anything, but I had a knowing in my heart, in my spirit, that there would come a time where I would work for free. And I was like, I wonder what that entails. I mean, what do you mean work for free? And I had a feeling that it would be because maybe direct deposit would go down, the banks would go down, something of that nature, economic collapse, whatever it is. And that made sense to me, where you're working, whether you get paid weekly or bi-weekly, if you still work a regular job or what have you, for those of you out there that do. And, you're working, you're minding your own business, doing your job, whatever. And then when payday comes, whether you get direct deposit or a hard check or whatever, it doesn't come. And, of course, you get the excuses, economic crash, collapse, the bank shut down, direct deposit was shut down, and so forth. But the bottom line is, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the reasons were, you don't get paid. So I always kept that in the back of my mind. I never knew what it was going to be and how, but I thought it was going to be because of direct deposit going down or bank run or something of that nature, a banking holiday, something to do with the economy. I just didn't understand the circumstances. Well, prior to all this happening to me, just before the inauguration, so like inauguration weekend, I get a message from a friend of mine who lives in Ohio, who's a nurse, who had Capital One Bank, and they told me, and I actually shared this to the community page, their screenshot to the community page, without private information or anything. Oh, speaking of that, that's pretty much how I'm communicating and keeping everybody informed of everything. If you didn't know, is through the community page, and I don't share everything to the community page. Some things I just put on some things I share to the community page and put it on the alert or education playlist or movies or music or whatever it is, you know. Um, and there's some things I just put on the playlist itself without going to the community page at all. And there's a reason for that. I'll get into that. But anyway, going back to my friend, they said that, man, they had Capital One Bank, and they said direct deposits down. They didn't get paid. Now, it did get fixed, and they did eventually get paid, but they didn't get paid in a timely manner. They didn't get paid when they were supposed to. I thought that was kind of interesting because the victory rally, was going to be at Capital One Bank, or was at Capital One Bank in D.C. On Sunday, 2 days later. And I was like, wow, so Capital One Bank, they're having problems with their direct deposit, and the victory rally at Capital One Bank. Whatever. I just thought that was interesting. But it did get fixed. Well, then the following week, I get a paycheck for the, rendered services rendered, right? Working for this FedEx third-party distributor. And when I get my paycheck, and keep in mind, they have all my direct deposit information. I filled all of that information out. I get a hard copy check, and I look at it, and I'm like, okay, well, it looks legit. But it was interesting because it wasn't a printed check. It was written out. But it looked like a legitimate check. You look at the back of it, where there's an area where you sign, you put your account number and everything, so I didn't really question it too much. I just thought it was kind of weird that it was written instead of printed out. But I kept in mind this is a third-party distributor, it's a contractor. And I've had checks like that before, and, being in the workforce, where I've worked for small security companies or whatever, private businesses, privately owned businesses, and I've never had a problem. And you won't, as long as there's money in the person's account or the company's account that's writing the check to you. So I didn't think a whole lot about it. So I deposit the check. Well, the following week took about 4 days or so. I get a notice from my bank that the check was returned. I'm like, what? So I inquire further as to why the check would be returned. And they said the only reason the check would be returned, I actually went in and talked to the bank manager and so forth, is that it's because there's insufficient funds in the account for the person that wrote you the check. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And it wasn't for a lot of money, thank goodness. It was only a week's pay. But it was enough. It was enough. And that could really hurt a lot of people, either individually or family, if you deposit a check and you believe that it's going to clear because you have no reason to believe it won't clear, and you pay bills with that or whatever, you're hosed. You got problems now. Well, fortunately, I didn't do that. I withdrew the money from the account. I just let the check sit there because my wife and I, we plan ahead. We think ahead. We try to be very practical and frugal. I know that means cheap, I get it, but in our finances, at least me, speaking for myself, and I don't buy what I don't need to buy, and I don't, we only focus on the needs for the most part, not the wants, but the needs, because there's just not that much, and it's not necessary. I have my few things, my stream services or whatever, things I'm subscribed to, or things that I enjoy or I get information from or what have you. But for the most part, it's needs. It just goes to bills. Whatever the bills are, it goes to, the church. We tithe to the churches and charitable organizations. And, the church is doing God's work, not just any, lame church out there. those that have ministry that are helping others and, and serving the kingdom and so forth. And beyond that, though, it's like I pull it out of the bank. I only leave enough in there to pay the bills, pull the rest out of the bank, keep it, and use cash as much as possible, and and just pay the bills, right? So it wasn't detrimental. It was more annoying than anything. But this is what really got me, and this is the warning to anybody out there that works for a contractor or maybe a company you don't really know if they're that reputable or not, or maybe you have adult kids or grandkids or whatever that are in the workforce and they're not sure about who they work for or whatever the case may be. Well, here's the thing. I go to the employer and I inform them about it, and then they say, "Oh, okay, well, we'll check into it." And they're like, "Well, we don't know why it would have bounced, but there was money in the account." I'm like, "Well, there might be money in your account now, but there obviously wasn't money in the account when you wrote me this check, or else it wouldn't have bounced." And then they blame me for not using their bank. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, that's irrelevant. They said, "Well, there's money in the account, so you'll have to get that check back to us, and then we'll be able to write you another check." I'm like, so they have no interest at all in resolving this situation. None. And keep in mind, this is a third-party FedEx ground services distributor. It's not FedEx itself. I'm not disparaging FedEx. It's a third party. And if you look at the trucks closely, if a FedEx truck, you're on the road or whatever, and you see one, if they pull up to your house or whatever, if you look at the bottom on the right-hand panel, it'll say that, it's some distribution company out of wherever, whatever state, and it'll say that they're a distribution company, for FedEx out of such and such state. Because that's what FedEx does, is they use third-party distributors to get your packages and so forth. Why, I don't know. I guess it's cheaper. I don't know. Whatever. But they use contractors, basically. So it's not an unusual thing. And they have to follow FedEx policies. And, it's actually a FedEx truck. The drivers will wear a FedEx uniform. Everything is FedEx except for the fact that it's a third-party distributor, okay? So they don't want to help me with this. As a matter of fact, they basically want to punish me, blame me, and tell me it's my fault because I didn't use their bank. If I would have taken it to their bank that was written on the check, and cashed it and gotten the money then, it wouldn't have been a problem. Fair enough, but they didn't tell me that. They didn't have the thought or the decency to inform me of that. So I'm thinking, I can just deposit this in my bank. As long as there's money in your account, there shouldn't be a problem. But no, they insist there is money in their account, and this is my fault. So I obviously no longer work for them because I can't trust them. And so I'm like, okay, well, so the bank will mail me the hard copy check back, which I can then get to them, and then supposedly they're going to write me another check, which I still have to take to their bank to deposit, or not deposit, to cash. I'm like, this is so shady. So, being who I am, and the fact that I know people that are willing to help me in type of situations like this, that have expertise in these areas, and they're smarter than I am, and I was having a conversation with a friend telling him about all this, and they were making some suggestions to me, and they were very, very good suggestions, and I followed them, and I just didn't let this lie. Who would, right? I mean, you're getting ripped off here. I mean, they're messing with your finances. They're messing with your livelihood. But then I went back and I thought about it. The Lord told me, Father told me a while back, I don't know how long it's been, maybe a year, maybe more, I don't know. But he said, there will come a day where you will work for free. Like I said, I thought it was going to be like an economic collapse. And it still may be. I'll get into that in a little bit. It still may be. But right now, I was working for free because of an unscrupulous company, a third-party distributor. So anyway, I'm waiting for the hard copy check, which I can then get to them. Then they tell me that they will give me another check where I will be able to deposit, or excuse me, cash it at their bank. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just do the direct deposit thing? Well, we save direct deposit for those employees that have, basically are going to stay with us. I was like, well, I never said I was going to quit till you screw me over. But everything's an excuse. And I understand, because you start with a company or whatever, first you might get a hard check until the direct deposit kicks in. It takes a while, so I get that. But I gave them the direct deposit information right off the bat. And it's just like, so it's all shady. The reason they didn't use direct deposit, the real reason is because they don't have the money in the account. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing, right? They're probably skimming off the top, making sure that their top level employees, because I was newer, their top level employees, get what they need to get, specifically, those that own the company or those that do the books or whatever else. And then if there's anything left over, they'll pay the regular employees. So that's what they did. And then I get hosed because they write me a bad check. And, excuse me. And so here we are, waiting for the hard copy check and going from there. And then hopefully they still owe me 2 other weeks' pay as well. So hopefully I can get all of it and just cash it all and be done with this whole thing, right? When the time comes. But they won't even help me until I can get that hard copy check, which the bank is mailing back to me. But I just found out about this on the 22nd. So I'm hoping that with the way snail mail goes, I'm hoping that I will get that sometime very shortly here, very soon. But it hasn't happened yet. I followed up with it, but you can't rush the mail, right? So, and I don't know when the bank began to. I discovered that it was returned on the 22nd, so they weren't going to do it over the weekend. So what's today, like the 28th, 29th, something like that, 28th, I think it is. So if they put it in the bank on Monday, whatever. I don't know. I got my days confused, but anyway, it hasn't been that long. So I'm waiting for that. So this is a warning to everyone that be careful who you trust. Take my own advice here. People are out to get you. They're out to screw you over. They're out to steal from you. They will not be scrupulous. Everybody's out for themselves. They're scared. Even though we got a new president, that guy's writing executive orders like a house on fire. People really don't know what to expect. Yeah, they're thinking everything's going to be great and wonderful or whatever, but in their heart of hearts, deep down, they don't really know what to expect. And they're not sure because they haven't seen this type of thing. And so companies are going to do what they got to do to stay afloat, to stay alive. And because there are major economic indicators out there that something is coming. Don't know exactly when, but something is coming down the road that people should probably be concerned about. So beware. Be wary of businesses, small businesses, companies, third-party distributors, third-party contractors, things of that nature. Because it could happen to me, it could happen to you, it could happen to anybody. It was a legitimate check. I just didn't know I had to take it to their bank because they didn't tell me that to cash it. And if they had money in the account, this wouldn't be an issue. So I did go to FedEx directly, filed a formal complaint. They were very interested in what I had to say. I don't know if they'll go any further with it. But then I also went to the Labor Board. And they are very interested. Matter of fact, they sent me an email yesterday to fill out a formal complaint form so they can begin an investigation with, with the detailed information that I gave them so they can start an investigation. So hopefully this will all work out in my favor. I mean, we all pray for God's justice. We want God's justice in our life. We have to do our part, but we hope and pray for God's justice in a situation. And one last thing regarding this before I get on to the more secular, worldly type things, what's going on in the world now, is at the same time that this was happening, or around the same time this happens, I get an email from Eric Hale. And Eric and I we're good friends. We have been for a long time. I mean, I've never met him personally, but I've talked to him on the phone a few times. We've emailed back and forth. We share information. We share things. I've gone on many of his live streams or videos or whatever and commented and shared them and so forth at times. And Eric is a great guy. And he was the one person that reached out to me via email anyway. A lot of people left really nice comments, and I appreciate that and so forth. But he was the one person that reached out to me via email and just tried to really encourage me, over that last video I made and so forth. And, and so I responded to him. And when I responded to him, I told him basically this story that I'm telling you all now. And, and I shared it out. I shared his email and my response to quite a few people, a lot of people on my email list, because I wanted people to be informed of things that are going on so that they don't get caught in a trap like this. And they can be wise with the finances that the Lord entrusts them with. And, and like I said, for parents of adult children or grandparents of adult grandchildren or whatever, so you can warn them, cautionary tale right here, on what can happen if, you work for the wrong people. And like I said, it was FedEx. I thought it was legit. I even told the employer, I thought you were legit. You're FedEx. At least you represent FedEx. I mean, every time I go in, I have to wait for an escort, go through security, metal detector on my way out at the end of the shift, have a metal detector wand over me, I mean, it was a secure facility as much as it could be. I thought you were legit, man. Nope. I was pretty surprised. I would have thought for sure. It's like, you're representing FedEx. I mean, I would have thought you had your ducks in a row. But no. People don't care. So, Eric sends me this really nice email, and I responded. And like I said, sent his email and my response to quite a few people. And some people responded back, and, and they were very kind. And they were, they offered assistance, and and it was very nice. I'm very appreciative of that. This is when you know who your true friends are. This is when you know who's got your back. This is when you know when people, they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk, right? So, and the people that didn't respond, that's fine. I get it. Maybe the email didn't get there, or maybe they're not concerned, or maybe they're busy or whatever. No hard feelings, no big deal, no problem. I get it. I don't always respond to every email myself. There's too many of them, so it would take forever. So, but, I try to acknowledge as much as I can. But anyway, just be wary. Just be cautious out there. And I said, and the Lord doesn't lie. He doesn't lie. He doesn't fail. He doesn't change. He told me this was going to happen. To me. I didn't know when. I didn't know what the circumstances were going to be. I hope it doesn't happen again. But it could. Because I don't know if people notice this or not, know about this or not, but a Canadian prepper put out a very, very long video on this. But other people talked about it. God Soldiers Watchman Hank, and I think I may have shared something about it. Some other people shared some things about it. NVIDIA, a huge, huge company, lost like $569 billion overnight. And according to Canadian prepper Nate, with his long video that he put out, is like, it looks like that China's, the dragon countries' markets are beginning to crash. And what does that mean for us in the U.S.? Remains to be seen, but not good. $569 billion in one night. I think that was the total. Excuse me. So as more and more companies begin to lose money and their stocks begin to crash, it's only a matter of time. I don't know if it's going to be this winter, spring, fall. I have no idea. But it's a matter of time. These are the economic indicators And when, like my friend in Ohio, when it did get fixed and it got fixed fairly quickly, but when they get a notice saying, guess what, you're not getting paid, direct deposit is down, and that was another excuse I was given. Direct deposit is down because I was talking to another employee, about this and letting them know, giving them a heads up. It's like, man, listen, you could get hosed too. And it's just like they might just make excuses like, we don't have the money to pay you this week for whatever reason, direct deposit is down, or whatever, it's biweekly, whatever the reason they come up with, the excuse they come up with, can you be patient, can you take a pay cut, we're going to have to reduce your hours, we're sorry about this, it's just the economy, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I thought everything's supposed to be fine though, right? Everything's supposed to be fine now, right? Hmm. So I gave him a heads up, and I said, man, this could happen to you too. And he said, oh man, I didn't even cash the last check they gave me yet. I'm like, must be nice. but he's like, I didn't even cash the last check you gave me yet. I'm like, I would do it, because you might find there's no money in the account. So be careful, be wise, because it's not like the employers are going to admit this to the employees. And legally, they don't have to, but according to the labor board, they take it defrauding employees. They take fraud very seriously, and depending upon the state you live in, and they will most likely open an investigation. So, let me get back to where I was though. Nvidia, the stock market. There's economic indicators out there that things are not as good as we are being led to believe. So people might want to be paying attention to this. I'm going to be looking at the markets throughout the day today, because Nate put up, he made a very good point. He said, if they stay in the red and they lose a lot today, this could be the beginning of something. Maybe. But if they go back into the green, everything's hunky-dory, and it's party time, happy days here again, or whatever, then they're kicking the can down the road further, hiding it like they always do, making everybody think that everything's wonderful when it isn't. But I would definitely pay attention. And then getting all these executive orders, these last executive orders are very interesting, because there's one that has to do with basically cutting off financial or federal assistance. And from what I understand, that was a law already put in place that through Congress, through the last Congress, that it's on the books, that would not happen. But it appears that the new president wants to negate that through executive order and cut off financial and federal assistance. From what I understand, which could include SNAP, food stamps, anything of that nature. Now, from what I understand in hearing about this, is it won't be Medicare or Social Security, but it could be the other things that people rely on to get groceries and whatever else they need for their families. So that's something to be aware of. If that gets cut off, look out. People will not stand by, and they will not just wait for that, because people rely on that, whether they should or shouldn't, whatever. But they do. They rely on that. So if an executive order is out there regarding this, and I don't read them all, I don't look at them all, but I did see this one. It's kind of vague. But from what I've heard about it, it doesn't affect Medicare or Social Security, but it might affect everything else. So something people might want to be aware of, because all these executive orders are just constantly just like I said, he's signing like a house on fire, man. I mean, just like constantly signing these things and putting these things out there. And then there are some that, I mean, to be fair, to be honest, I mean, I agree with, as far as the woke DEI stuff, the transgender stuff, the homosexual stuff in the military, the lesbian stuff in the military, all this stuff. Absolutely, get rid of all of it. All of it. It destroys unit cohesion. It has a detrimental effect on troops individually and within a unit. It's terrible. It's horrible. So, I mean, I'm actually for that. I'm kind of torn in a way, because some of these things are good. It's just like, yeah, let's get rid of all this garbage. Let's get back to some common sense, some logic, some get rid of this woke DEI stuff, this transgender stuff in the service, and I'm all for that, absolutely. Um, but overall, these executive orders, they're not going to be good. They're not good for us as a nation, as a society, as a people. They really aren't. Um, there's going to be backlash, especially if people don't get their entitlements anymore. Could be more. Could be backlash on the borders. Could be backlash from these mass deportations. There could be backlash. So I would just suggest that people get ready. We're hearing more and more about grocery prices continually going up. More store shelves are being emptied. The egg prices insane. There have been cases more and more of the bird flu. People are dying now. I have 2 deaths that I'm aware of in Virginia. I shared a lot of this stuff to the community page, and if it's not there, go to the education or alert playlist, and you can see it. Sometimes I just put things directly to the playlist because I don't want to deal with the heat on the community page for things that I share and the things that I talk about, or the things other people talk about. Because some people they're really nasty still. A lot of you won't see the comments because I get rid of them very quickly because I'm just like, I am not going to go back and forth, with this, arguing with an idiot or a fool. I'm just not going to do it, I'm just not. So I just delete their comments, hide them from the channel or whatever, because I just don't want to put up with it. I just don't deal with it because most of the things that these people that just mean, to me or other people, is their facts are really bad, first of all, really skewed, and a lot of false accusations. I mean, people accuse me of, reading Hal Lindsey. I've never read Hal Lindsey in my life, the late great Planet Earth. No, I've never read Hal Lindsey. I know who he was, but I never read any of his stuff. Just all these stupid accusations. They accuse me of being a pre-trib. I'm not pre-trib. Anybody that listens to me knows I'm not pre-trib. I mean, just stupid stuff. Just stuff to get under your skin. So I just get rid of them. Oh, and they said, well, we've told you and warned you a while back not to listen to Eric Hale and Celestial. I'm just like, are you kidding me? There is no that is night and day, okay, between Eric Hale and Celestial, okay? I mean, give me a break. I mean, I don't remember the last time I shared anything from Celestial. It's been a long, long time. I don't listen to Celestial. I don't listen to Brandon Biggs. I don't listen to most of these people because I don't believe them. Almost prophecy is not prophecy, okay? I don't believe them is not prophecy fulfilled, I should say. I don't trust them. 90+% of the people out there with YouTube channels and blogs and on the internet, in so-called ministries or whatever, I don't listen to them. I don't believe them. I don't trust them. So the things people accuse me of listening to and promoting or whatever, it's just funny to me because their facts are just jacked up. They don't know what they're talking about. So people send me stuff, but I don't share it a lot of times, and then sometimes people send me stuff. I said, please don't send me this stuff anymore. I don't listen to this. I'm not going to. I don't believe them. I don't trust them. If you do, that's between you and the Lord. You do whatever you want. You do you, okay? I'll do me, and we'll just do that. I mean, because I don't care. I told people that I don't care. I don't care to listen to it. I don't believe it. I don't trust it. That being said, there was one that came out that I thought was kind of interesting from Narrow Road 79K. I know a lot of people probably don't believe that, and that's fine. Whatever. I happen to. All right? We're all entitled to our opinion. Where there's going to be a sudden event. We've heard that before many, many times. It hasn't happened as of yet to where it's put everybody back on their heels. It's made the nation go crazy, made people lose their mind. But a sudden event where the man in office, and I don't know what it entails. I don't know when. I don't know the circumstances behind it. But you look at her video if you want, Narrow Road 79K. she talks about it. It's going to take people off guard. They're going to be shocked. They're going to be amazed. They're going to say, "This can't happen. How did this happen? This is insane. This is crazy." No, no, no. They're going to be in denial. They're going to freak out. They're going to lose it because they're not going to expect it. It's going to catch them completely off guard. And I don't know if it's going to be days, weeks, months, years. I have no idea. No date, time frame was given on any of it. I have no idea. But just be ready for it. Be prepared for it. Head on a swivel, man. I mean, this is the time that people have now. God is so gracious. He is so merciful. He is so kind. He is so loving. He is so caring. He is continually giving us time to be prepared for just about any eventuality. We have time. We're not in total chaos. We're not in civil war. We're not in internal revolution. It's not Book of Eli. It's not Civil War. It's not, any apocalyptic movie as of yet. Yeah, there's a lot of horrible things that have happened and continue to happen. But we have time to get our ducks in a row to get ready. Matter of fact, Ignited Church, a few members from Ignited Church Livonia, they went down to Cuba. They just got back. Ben Faircloth let me know, when they were leaving. He let me know when they got back. And down there in Cuba, they were able to build this church called Oasis. And if you people go to ignitedchurchlife.com and you go to the live stream from Sunday, you can see all the pictures and the slideshow presentation and everything. God's work is still happening. Kingdom work is still happening. People are still able to travel currently. They're still able to do ministry. They're still able to do missions work and so forth. He's merciful. And there's a project that the Ignited Church is trying to start up to get solar powered generators down there, because the Cuban people only have power like 3 hours a day, maybe a little bit more, but not long, but not much. 90+% of the time they have no power. So they're doing everything they can, to help that situation. And the Lord is giving us time. He is allowing us to have time to get our ducks in a row and to do what we need to do to purchase what we need to purchase if you can, and to just get ready spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically, like I've been saying for years on this channel. Well, not in this and the other channel, So, I mean, we got time. Not a lot of time, but there is some time to get it together. So, with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this. There was one other thing I was going to say regarding that. What was it? Talked about the stock market, the economy, preparedness, Cuba. It escapes me right now. Anyway, I think that's about it for now. May come on again, do a little shorter one, later on down the road or whatever. But thank you all for your prayers. I appreciate it. For me and my family, people have contacted me, and they've told me they're praying for me and my family. I thank you for that. We're all doing well. Everything's cool. I'm just kind of keeping a low profile for the most part, just kind of staying low. Just trying to serve the Lord, do what He tells me to do. But like I said, He told me, He warned me. He said, there's going to come a day where you're going to work for free. And I did, because I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting that money back, and there's no guarantee I will get it back. Even if I do get them the hard copy check, and then they say, well, once we get the hard copy check, then we can go ahead and pay you, whatever. Oh, here's the kicker. And then they want to hold my last check for 30 days. Like, scum, man. Scumbags. You put the effort in, you put the work in, you put the time in, you trust an employer to pay you on time, to pay you the right amount, and they just want to stiff you. They just want to defraud you. And don't care about you or your family. I say, hey, you want to talk to my wife and explain this to her? I'm not allowed to talk to your wife because she's not my employer, blah, according to law. And that's what triggered me. I was like, you want to talk about law? Okay, we can go there. We can go there. And that's exactly what I did. I said, yeah, I'll get the law to work for me on this. Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to get legal? We can get legal. You know, because you know, people shouldn't get away with this. You only got two cheeks. Remember that. You know, I turned both of them. It's like, that's it, man. So you slap me once, you don't pay me, and you slap me again and threaten not to pay me again. That's it. That's all it is. Because you know, we let the Lord take care of things. The battle belongs to the Lord. He fights our battles for us, but we have recourse. Paul even used his recourse as a Roman citizen. You know, there are recourses that we have that we can use. So you don't have to take it lying down. You don't have to let people walk all over you like you're a welcome mat. Just because you're a Christian, just because you're a believer in Jesus Christ doesn't mean you wear a sign that says tread on me, you know, like you're a human welcome mat. No. You can stand up for yourself and your family, and you should. You're supposed to. And if you don't, that's on you. So do what you can. The battle belongs to the Lord. We pray and we want His justice. We desire His justice. He could do so much worse and so much better, you know, at getting justice than we can, and so much worse to making sure that people pay for the things they've done against His people than we ever could. So vengeance belongs to the Lord, right? It's His. So we just do what we can and then trust in Him. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and go. Y'all have a good, blessed day. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Man, just pay attention. Head on a swivel. I would go to whitehouse.gov every once in a while and just read some of these executive orders or see what's going on so you're not caught off guard. That was it. Now I remember. May 7th, 2025. Might want to put that on your calendar. If you travel or you have family that travel or whatever, by May 7th, 2025, you have to have real ID according to the Department of Homeland Security. I shared the link to the community page earlier. I thought it was the end of March or end of May. I couldn't remember, but it's May 7th is the actual date that you have to have real ID in order to have to be able to travel domestically. Not good. If anybody knows about Real ID or has studied or researched Real ID, not good. But that's what's going to be required in order for you to travel domestically according to the Department of Homeland Security. So people are constantly on flights in and out, whatever the case may be, because of business or personal reasons. I haven't been on a plane in a long time, and the last time I was, it was very, very uncomfortable. Didn't like it at all. You know, doesn't really affect me, but other people, that's how they do their business. That's how they make their livelihood. So by May 7th, 2025, people will have to submit to that order, we'll call it that, to that policy, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Real ID is required, goes into effect May 7th. Mark it on your calendar if you need to, or just keep it in your mind. So research it yourself. Like I said, I would go to whitehouse.gov, check out some of these executive orders from time to time. I would go to CNBC and see what's going on with the markets, see if they might pull the rug, you know, sooner than people might think, because the masks are definitely coming off on people. If you looked at True Social Media and Eric Trump, you know, and all the threats, you know, FAFO, if right now it's tariffs, later on it's going to be something worse. And he was real quiet before, but now he's a little cocky thing, isn't he? You know, he's out there threatening everybody. They're always threatening people, putting up the sign of the goat, you know, the president looking in the mirror, and then what's looking back at him is the goat, you know, the greatest of all time. It's all out there, folks. It's in our faces. People just don't want to see it. All right, I got to go. Y'all have a great and blessed day. Take care. Bye-bye.